Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, narrated by Disney, or current Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. So I'm not Matt Wilkins, and I was getting a little tired by how short my videos have become, and that's because everything I've been reviewing is comics. So I decided that my next video, I'd wait a bit longer to actually make a video. So today, I'm not exactly sure what I'm titling this video. I guess probably just the last comic that I talk about. But there's three of them. There's the Stark Hyperspace War comic, which is in the Star Wars comic, which is later redubbed Republic. We have the Devaronian version, which is a fun little 2-issue series. Rite of Passage. And then the second half to a story that I've already talked about. Though, of course, if you're a normal person like Matt Wilkins, you can just read it all in one sitting here. But as for me, I've reviewed the first half way earlier on, and that is Jedi Apprentice Deceptions. Second half that deals with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Overall, what can I talk about with Stark Hyperspace War without spoiling? Well, just like the Jango Fett Open Seasons story, the vast majority of this story is in the past. This is sometime during the Jedi Apprentice era. But because the present day story is all these Jedi Masters and Aayla Secura talking about the past, which is the modern day thing, since it's from that perspective, chronologically it takes place here, even though the majority of the story is in the past. See what I'm saying? Overall, it was a very interesting story, and actually gave quite a bit of attention on Tarkin, which is really interesting. Without spoilers, that's as much as I'll say. It was a fun read. The art was not my favorite. After that, we have the Devaronian version by John Ostrander. This basically is just a funny 2-issue tale with some truth in there, some fictional things, because it is Billy. Billy is at a bar and he's recounting tales. He's recounting a tale from, if you remember the comic, one of the first comics I reviewed coming back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe was Jedi Council Acts of War. Now that comic book series, where the spoiler alert for that series, but I already did a review for it, Micah dies. I know, shocking, right? You don't even know who I'm talking about? Well, go read that series and you'll find out. But he's a Jedi Knight who's friends with Plo Koon. But in that series, which I didn't even realize at the time, it took me, I think, till this comic to remember that, oh, that was him. That was that Devaronian. Because Billy had a hand to play in the Jedi dying, because he helped the Yunchuri make it to Coruscant and stuff and start causing all the conflicts because Sidious told him to. Now, the way Sidious acts in this is a little... but of course, it's Billy recounting a tale, so it's a unreliable narrator. But you can... I mean, we do know that Sidious had Billy work with him during the Acts of War 4-issue series. So that is... it's not serious at all. It's a very fun 2-issue comic. Well worth your time, just because, at least if you love Billy. If you don't love Billy, this might annoy you, though I can't imagine how you wouldn't love Billy, because Billy's amazing. If you had to make like a top 5 funniest characters or like entertaining characters in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, you gotta give it to Billy and the Snivian from the Old Republic comics, because both of them are hilarious for different reasons. But yeah, really fun. Rite of Passage is, I think, like issues 42 or something like that, 45 or 46 or something like that. And these issues focus on Aayla Secura a lot. Quinlan's there, but it's really about Aayla becoming a Jedi Knight, as we see her in episode 3, before she, kicks the bucket. and Quinlan becoming a master again, and also reconciling kind of their relationship. So, very fun. Also, a character appears in there, which I'll talk about in spoilers. I don't have too many spoilers, but I have some things to talk about. And lastly, Jedi Apprentice Deceptions, the second half that focuses on Obi-Wan and Anakin. We get to see a lot of old faces from the Jedi Apprentice series. Of course, this is a part of Jedi Apprentice. It's a special, but it was still very nice because for me, somebody who isn't normal like Matt Wilkins, who just reads this all in one sitting, I read the first half of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan a while ago, so it's actually really cool to see some of these characters again. I also like, just from this alone, and we have so much more to dive into with that, with the Jedi Quest series and the other second halves of the Jedi Apprentice stuff. But I love this. Right now, Anakin is like 13, so he's kind of like 12 or 13, I forget. And he's around because it's been like 4 years. I forgot to mention when going through all of these comics, because the comics go by much faster. We are about 4 years from episode 1 at this point, so time has passed. But I love that, Anakin really wants to be close to Obi-Wan. And you see Obi-Wan, just in this alone, he's trying to deal with the fact that, he's trying to be a good master. He's trying to follow in the example that Qui-Gon set. And there's a clearly different dynamic going on, which I think is interesting. Right now, what you're supposed to imagine is more of the little kid from the first film. He hasn't transitioned into hating Christensen yet. As of right now, he's still the little boy. A bit older now. He's got the Jedi braid. He's been training for a few years now. But he is the little boy from Tatooine still, kind of. He's still supposed to look like that more than Hayden Christensen yet. We haven't gotten there yet. But I really enjoyed this second half. I thought there was a lot of nice little moments between the two of them. Just little small things that I think Jude Watson is just absolutely superb on, with like just dialogue between the two of them. I mean, the overall story was fine. It's continuing off of the first half, which dealt with the family of Bruck being the one that died when Obi-Wan was fighting him. Not Obi-Wan's fault, but Obi-Wan holds guilt for it anyway. And so that story kind of gets resolved. Obi-Wan gets a big relief from this adventure. And this is the first time we really get to see, Obi-Wan and Anakin together in like a mission sort of role. Of course, Yoda said it wasn't going to be a mission, but of course it became one. And already here, you also, I'm not trying to spoil anything, you also get these glimpses of still, like, I love that it's so early on too. Like, we're only, 4 years away from episode 1. Already you can see it. It's starting here. Ever so slowly. Like, that's the beauty of the expanded universe. Like, people were like, oh, it was too quick. It was too quick. It was too quick his turn in episode 3. It really wasn't. Right here, we even have him talking about how he feels alone at the Jedi Temple. Because he was brought in so late. Because he's not like the other kids. Because he absolutely excels in everything he does. Like, Obi-Wan even says it's not that Anakin's restless. It's that all of the lessons come really easy to him. He's just surpassing everyone and doing it with ease in his classes, and so he's bored. He wants a challenge. But with that, some of the kids, don't like him for that because he's different. He excels where other people take time to learn. He learns it with relative ease. He's the chosen one. So already you can see this sort of isolation, this I'm not the same as these kids. I'm boxed off. I'm in a corner. I'm alone. And he has Obi-Wan, but even still, he tries to be careful of what he says with Obi-Wan. He is open with Obi-Wan, but he knows that Obi-Wan also isn't completely open with him. They open up a little bit in this book. But I love it. It's so fascinating because 10 years of what happened in those 10 years. We go from episode 1 to episode 2. What happened? And we're getting some of that. And I love that. And I'm so excited to see what else develops between them in the following books and stuff. But overall, I thought it was a really fun little story. It was nice to see some old familiar characters from the Jedi Apprentice series. It's interesting seeing Obi-Wan in this, master role. Of course, we have that in 2 and 3, but there's a lot of conflict between the two of them. They're fighting constantly. Anakin's being a little brat, but here he's outspoken. He isn't disrespecting Obi-Wan like he does in Episode 2. So it's not like he was just a brat for 10 years. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in Episode 2 that just makes him kind of more unbalanced. But yeah, overall fantastic. I highly suggest you read all these stories. They're all fantastic, all wonderful. And I'm excited to see what the future holds in store. Up next, we actually we have a novel. We have a novel, guys. We're past episode 1, and we're finally getting to an actual novel here. I mean, I know this is the second half of a young adult series, but like an actual adult novel with Rogue Planet by Greg Bear. Now, I believe this is the same Greg Bear who did the Halo Forerunner trilogy. For those of you who have not seen my review and like Halo, I did review Halo like 6 months ago, the Forerunner trilogy. That was a mind warp for me. But that's the only other thing I know that of Greg Bear, if that's the same guy that he wrote. So we'll see how I feel about this book when I get to it. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, sharing episode a ton, and may the Force be with you. Until next time.